If you're looking for a great hike and adventure in San Diego's backcountry, look no farther than the Noble Canyon National Recreation Trail. We're going to start in the lowlands and the scrub, almost desert-like topography here, and make our way all the way up to the higher points in San Diego's backcountry, up to the Desert Divide and the Pacific Crest Trail, where we're going to get epic views into Anza Borrego and the high peaks around it. We're going to start the hike about an hour east of downtown San Diego in Cleveland National Forest in an area called Pine Valley. This version of the hike is going to be 16 miles round trip, about 2,500 feet of total climbing. You're not going to see many people, maybe some mountain bikers, but it's pretty remote out here. You don't see a lot of hikers here. And when you do read guides for the Noble Canyon Trail, they usually have you starting up here at the Penny Pines, up at the higher elevation, and then going downhill and then coming back. I prefer to do it at the bottom and then go up to the top, get the viewpoint, and come back down. It makes it a little bit easier to do the climb in the beginning. In this version, I am also cutting off the very beginning of the trail. I'll put this in the GPX file if you'd like to check it out. But you can see here there's a loop around the beginning. We're going to cut that off in favor of just starting the hike and getting the what I think are the best parts, which will be starting up from the parking area, up through Noble Canyon, up along Noble Creek. We're going to cross over the creek right here. The Noble Mine is up here, and there's a lot of different mine shafts in this area. There are not going to be any on the trail itself, but if you wanted to explore that, I'll put this Noble Mine in the GPX file so you can check it out. It's easy to hit from the road right over here from Pine Valley Road if you'd like to go check that out. But otherwise, we're going to continue up Noble Canyon. We're going to cross back over the creek and then head uphill, cross over Pine Valley Road once again, all the way up to the Penny Pines trailhead right up here. And this is the official end of the Noble Canyon Trail right here, but we're going to do a little extension. We're going to cross Sunrise Highway, and we're going to go down, hop on the PCT for a little bit, and we're going to go to this viewpoint where we're going to get these epic views down into Anza Borrego, San Jacinto, San Gorgonio. Really a beautiful viewpoint. And then from here, we're just going to turn around and go back down the way we came. Noble Canyon is one of the most popular mountain biking trails here in the San Diego area, and the San Diego Mountain Bike Association actually helps keep this trail in great shape. They give out bells up at the top. Most mountain bikers will do this from top to bottom, so keep your ears open, give them a wide berth as they come down the trail. This is a backcountry hike, and you're going to want to bring all of your backcountry essentials, including a satellite communicator if you have one. The cell phone reception here is pretty sketchy. There can be insects, so I bring a couple of these little packets of insect repellents, and I'll do this usually in my trail runners. Now, the thing to know about Noble Canyon is it can be a place of temperature extremes. In the summertime, it can be triple digits, not a good time to do it. In the wintertime, there can be snow and ice up at the top. I'll bring 3 liters of water with me, and when I get up to Penny Pines Trailhead, there's a spigot where you can refill, unless it's frozen like it is here. If you want to see the latest and greatest gear that I'm using now, just search for Hiking Guy Best Hiking Gear, and you will find all of the gear that I'm actually using on the trail. There's nothing on there that's sponsored or promoted. It's just all tested by me, and I only list the things that make the cut. It's a small road to the trailhead, but it's doable by most low-clearance vehicles. There's a gate along the way. I've always seen this open, but if the weather's bad, it can be closed. And you're just going to pull off the road into this big dirt parking lot. From the parking area, you're going to look for these wood posts, which are going to show up here on the left-hand side of the screen. And we're just going to go straight down this little connector trail for about a quarter of a mile till we reach the Noble Canyon Trail proper. You'll see that there's this burn area. There was a fire here in 2022. Luckily, it didn't devastate that much of the area, but this part got pretty clobbered. And as we go through here, you're going to see some mountain bike trails, some little used trails. Here's a bigger one off to the right. We're just going to go straight on this main trail, straight on the main trail, until we see signs for the Noble Canyon Trail. And here we are. You can see this big bend, this big switchback. To the right is the other side of Noble Canyon. To the left is the Noble Canyon part heading east and upward, which is what we're going to take. All right, you might have noticed the special little symbol that we're seeing here on the Noble Canyon Trail. That is the National Recreation Trail symbol, NRT Trail. NRT trails were formed in 1968 when Lyndon Johnson signed the National Trails Act, which also recognized long-distance trails like the Pacific Crest Trail and Appalachian Trail. Once we get onto the Noble Canyon Trail proper, the burn scar gets left behind, and we're about 100 feet up above Noble Creek, and it is spectacular here. Really beautiful as the trail winds its way up along the side of the hills and upstream on Noble Creek. There's a lot of ups and downs on this part as we go along the canyon. You're going to be going kind of in and out of the gullies, up a little switchback. You can see the trail work is really nice here. They've built some switchbacks, so thank you to the San Diego Mountain Biking Association for doing this. The beginning of the hike here is one of the distinct ecological zones. Here we are in the scrub chaparral. There's cacti here. Really pretty, very distinct. It's going to change in a second. There you can see some cacti, but a really neat part of the trail. You can see it unfolding ahead of us. I really enjoy this part in the beginning here up along Noble Canyon. Now we're going to dip down into the second type of ecological zone. This is what you'd call a riparian zone here up along the creek. It's wet. There are big oaks here. Some of these oaks are really old, really huge as you continue along, and you can see there's some grasses. It's really a spectacular area and feels entirely different than the section that we were just on a second ago that I showed you with all of the cacti. And as you come down and approach Noble Creek, up to the right, if you look up to the right, we're going to be able to see some ruins of an old cabin or settlement. It's a great place to take a break, but over the years, there's been miners here and ranchers, all different types of people. And I think there was mining here up until the 1960s. Now, when we come to this sign right here and this split, we're going to go down towards the right, and we're going to do our first creek crossing. We're going to cross over the creek and head up the other side. You can see here, it's not too bad. You can rock hop across it and continue upstream. As we continue past the mining ruins there, the Noble brothers were pretty interesting because they didn't make a fortune mining here. They actually made a fortune by finding some gold and then flipping the mine to people who speculated on the fact there was more gold there. So that was what the Noble brothers did. They were like house flippers. And here you can see some of the pipe that used to run down probably to that settlement that we passed earlier. But the water was helpful for the mining because it would help them, the miners, break the ore apart and separate the precious metals from the regular ore and rock. As we continue upstream, the canyon gets narrower, definitely more rugged, more rocky. Feels more like a wilderness area here. You can see all of the outcroppings of granite and little waterfalls flowing in there. Now, water doesn't always flow in the creek, but in the winter, usually in the spring, you can find some water here. Oh, man, I just went down pretty hard. I was cruising along. This trail is a little deceiving because it's uphill, but it's pretty cruisy. You can go pretty quick. There are some rocky sections, and I slipped on some ice and snow on those rocks, and I just battered my knee. Now, sorry if it grosses you out. It looks worse than it is. It's really just the skin has gone there. But the point being, it's easy to lose focus of your footing on this trail because it is such an easy trail. It's an easy trail to kind of go a little bit quicker on, but watch your feet. It's very rocky, and don't let what happened to me happen to you. All right, we're going to cross back over the creek one more time, and then we're going to start going uphill. And it gets a little bit steeper here. I just mentioned it was pretty cruisy and deceiving. Right after the creek crossing, it's a little bit steeper, but it will level out as we get further up towards the top. And the feel starts to change again as we go up here. You'll feel it on this section here, and it's hard to tell that you're going uphill, but if you turn around, you can see in the distance where we came up from, and it's not nothing, you know, not a huge mountain, but it's not nothing here. And after a little bit, you're going to start to see some pine trees. There's going to be some pine trees. So we were in that desert scrub chaparral before, and here are some beautiful pines. Now, if you're new to the channel, you might have noticed that there are no ads. I'm not trying to sell you green shakes, mattresses, VPN services. That's because this video is entirely user supported. So thank you to everyone who supports the channel in every which way. Whether you give financially, whether you use my Amazon affiliate links to buy anything on Amazon or REI, or even just spread the word or give me a little thumbs up on YouTube. It's all helpful. It's all appreciated. And it allows me to do videos like this and allows other people to know what to expect on the trails or know what kind of gear to buy and hopefully have a better time and a safer time out there. So thank you to everyone. And I could not do it without you. Now, continuing uphill, we're going through a little bit of a transition zone. We're going to start saying goodbye to some of the scrub here. The canyon is very narrow, but if you continue up, you're going to start to see some of these massive, massive pine trees here. We're approaching the sort of the high country in San Diego, this high country of the San Diego's back country here. Now here we are, we're going to cross over Pine Creek Road. This is Pine Creek Road. Sometimes it's open to traffic, sometimes it's not. Usually the gates are closed, but you might see bikes or park rangers driving around here. But we're just going to cross over and continue to follow the trail uphill. And you can see how crazy windy it is here. I told you the weather can be extreme. It can get really windy up at the Desert Divide. And as we go down, it's hard to think or imagine that we were down in a warm desert environment before, and now we're up here and the winds are howling and there's about to be some snow. In the distance, Cuyameca, that's the second highest peak here in San Diego County by only a few feet. So it's pretty much one of the highest places here in the county. And then we're going to come up to the intersection with the Indian Creek Trail. Now that actually goes over towards Cuyameca, and maybe I'll do a guide on that sometime. There's probably a good loop, a good adventure in there, maybe an overnight. But we're not going to take Indian Creek. We're going to continue on Noble Canyon. So we're going to go straight and continue here on Noble Canyon. There you can see the trail sign with the NRT marker. And in the distance as we come up around here, mountain in the distance way back there, that's Toro Peak. That's actually kind of close to Palm Springs, in the Palm Springs area. Just amazing that we can see that all the way from here. Now we're going to cross back over Pine Creek. We're going to cross back over the road. The trail is very well marked. You can see here is a trail marker getting whipped around, but it has our familiar NRT Noble Canyon on it. Now, once we cross back over, there's kind of a confusing intersection here. I think mountain bikers sort of go all over the place. But we're going to make the hard left. Look for a hard left, and you can see here up the hill, there is another sign for Noble Canyon. And we're going to continue up sort of on the, I guess this is the north side, the left-hand side of this hill right here. And there's another sign, but now if you look down, it says to the Pacific Crest Trail, which means we are getting closer to the end of the Noble Canyon and Sunrise Highway and crossing over the road onto the PCT. Now, when we're at the high point of this section of trail, in the distance you could see a snowy San Gorgonio, San Jacinto, and a Whale Peak over on the right-hand side. And as we continue around, that pointy one is called Garnet Peak. That's a really fun hike, too. I have that on the website. Just search for Hiking Guy Garnet Peak. And here we are at the end point of Noble Canyon. Now, this is where most people will start it. They'll go downhill. A lot of mountain bikers, but this is where we are ending it, at least on our upward trip. There's the box with the bells in it that I mentioned earlier for the mountain bikers. Pretty cool that they have those. And once we continue a little bit on, you're going to see the spigot on the ground. Again, it was frozen on this day, but this is a popular spot for PCT hikers to fill up their water as well. I think it runs pretty much all of the time. And then we're going to continue on up towards the Sunrise Highway. There's a big trail board for the Noble Canyon Trail. Check it out. There you can see the big NRT sign on the side. I'm going to leave there, go through this gate, and go out and cross over the Sunrise Highway. Now, it looks like the trailhead's over on the left. That's a little interpretive display for the Penny Pines here. It's called the Penny Pines Trailhead. But the actual PCT and the trail that we want is over to the right. Over to the right over there. And we're just going to hop on this little connector and then hop on to the PCT. There is some cell phone reception here if you need to call somebody or if you're doing a point-to-point. I did get some reception on this time. But we're going to keep on going straight here. And there's the PCT joining from the right. That's the one coming up from Campo in the Mexican border. We're going to go straight and head on the northbound PCT towards the end of this hike towards Canada. But here you can see there are signs. We're no longer on the Noble Canyon. Now we're on the PCT. Now, this is the whole big payoff and the reason why I do this hike this way. There's Monument Peak in the distance, another fun one to hike up. I have a guide for that on my website as well. But really, really beautiful as we continue on here. And as we continue on, you're going to look for a little turn off to the right. It's a little use trail. The PCT goes off to the left and continues north. We're going to go down here to the right and hike down to this little overlook here. I can kind of tell people have been camping here. It's probably pretty breezy to camp, but this is the end of the hike. So check out the beautiful views. There's Anza in the distance. Really spectacular, spectacular views. And we're up here in the snow, and down there is the desert. Really nice place to take a break, the midway point, have a bite. And then from here, we're just going to turn around and go back down the way we came, and that's the hike. If you want to do another great hike up in this area, check out my guide for the Big Laguna Best of Loop. It's around here, and it is also spectacular.